The mysterious, the macabre, the out of this world. The following are real people. They have real stories, and they've had real encounters. Here tonight on Newsworthy, two words and two question marks.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
Hello, and welcome to Encounters. And if you have ever been camping and have a face to face meeting that changes the entire direction of your entire life, then you, like our guest tonight, David Walker, have probably had an encounter. Tonight on Newsworthy, two words, two question marks. Hello, guys, and welcome back. We are here today with David Walker. He's got a brand new book out called Supernatural Cryptids Return of the Nephilim. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, you were telling me a little bit before we came on air about your book, but you were also telling me about a really scary first encounter that got you into this business.
Yes.
You want to tell us about that story?
Sure. I was 11 years old and went out to, this is right around central part of Ohio. I won't say the exact location. But anyhow, went out, we camping out and stuff like that. The school had just let out for the summer and we got everything ready. We went behind the barn. We was just going to look for deer. I didn't even know anything about Bigfoot at that time. And so anyhow, the fire kind of got a little bit away from us, so we, took our shirts off. We thought we got to get this fire out, man. So we beat, whip, and whip, whip. Finally got the fire out. So at that time we was tired and it was stinky, and well, we ain't gonna see no deer, man. We just might just call switch, we'll just go back to the house. And he goes, well, you still want to camp out? I goes, oh yeah, but where we gonna go? He goes, oh man, we on a little bit up on top of the hill, so we can go up on top of the hill and camp out. I go, sure, man. So up the hill was like almost 400 or 500 feet up. Thorn trees, briars everywhere. So halfway up, we stopped, took a 15-minute breather. I'm like, oh, I wish we had just stayed home. I was thinking in my head. But we're already halfway up, so we might as well just finish. Just a good top of the hill. It was nice and flat, and there was open space. So I was elated about that. So he said, okay, you go, get some more wood, and I'll go set up the tent. So I went ahead and he set up the tent, and I collected the firewood. This time we did it right. We built our fire, put water around it and everything. And so we ate our hamburgers and hot dogs. We, just kind of shoot the shit a little bit. And right around 1 o'clock, we kind of laid down our sleeping bags in the tent there. And we talked for a little bit more. And then we we'll try to go to sleep. I was just about going off in dreamland when I heard some sticks snapping behind right on 10. I'm like, I'm looking around, look at my friend. I think, hey, you heard that? He goes, yeah, man. I go, maybe it's just, raccoons or something. I goes, yeah, they probably rummaging through our food and everything like that. I said, yeah. And so I rolled back over again, snap, snap. He goes, that sounds something like something big. He goes, I don't know, my brother up here trying to scare us or something. I don't know. And all of a sudden we heard this. Ugh, ugh, ugh. I'm like, this don't sound right. I'm starting to get freaked out. And he's like, I don't know who that could be, man. All of a sudden, boom. This thing hit and it hit my friend in the head. He was, wearing a little pup kit.
Through the tent.
Excuse me?
Through the tent. He hit you.
Through on top of the tent and hit him in the head. On the other side, he's about 3 feet from me. That doesn't sound like much, but in a tent, it's pretty good distance. So I'm like, oh, damn, man. I hope this thing doesn't hit me. So I move myself over to the other side of the tent, put my head down. 3 seconds later, boom, the tent hit and it hit me in the head. And I'm wondering, how could anybody outside see me inside the tent?
Right. You said you were in an old army canvas type.
Yeah, them little two-man pup kit.
Right.
So we're not talking, it's not like today's version of,
Right.
oh, you can almost stand up and walk. No, it's not like that. 1972, so
Yeah.
go figure. So anyhow, he says, "That could be my brother trying to scare us." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe." I said, "He is a jokester." So he goes, "This is trying to scare him on the count of three." I go, "Okay." He goes, "One, two, three." Dummy me. I jumped out of the tent, thinking his brother's standing on the other side, and I jumped up on the orange button, trying to scare him. When I looked, and all I can see is black fur.
Oh wow.
I'm standing there. I look straight up. I mean, up. I tilt my head about 8 foot high. I would estimate, of course. So the creature standing there and just looked at me in the car and cocked its head like, "Are you trying to scare me?" And I'm like, and my first reaction was I started stepping back because I was scared stiff.
Right.
And I started walking backwards, and then it took off running, and it ran not away from me, but it ran past me. And we had some ember fire going there. Man, right on the edge of that fire, jumped over the fire thing, took off running across the ridge, and it was gone. So it went that way. My friend who was watching this from inside the tent, he didn't jump out with me. He goes, "Oh my God," Dave goes, "that was Bigfoot." I go, "Bigfoot?" I go, "Is that what you call?" He said, "No, yeah, here." And he took threw me a flashlight. He said, "We got to get out of here." I caught the flashlight. He grabbed his flashlight. We took off the other way, down over the hill. Camping was done for the night. So run down over the hill. There was a fence by the barn I was telling you about. Well, he knew where the fence was. He jumped over the fence. And I didn't know where the fence was at. I'm still running, man. And I hit that fence and I flipped over and I got my foot caught in the little, you know, the little square, the little squares of the country fence. I got my foot, I had boot on, you know, and I got a cut in that fence. And I'm like, oh my God, thinking, is Bigfoot behind me, running, trying to get me? And I was like freaked out. I took my foot and I'm pulling with all my might. And I finally slipped my foot out of the boot and I ran back to the house barefoot. I did not care. I got to get out of here. So I got to the house and his sister let us in. She laughing at us, of course. Well, next morning we had breakfast. His father come to the table and he said, "Oh, I heard you boys had quite an experience last night." I goes, "Yeah, we did." And he goes, he looked at his son and he said, "He's back, ain't he?" I go, "Well, who's back?" He goes, "Bigfoot, Dave." I go, "So you've seen this thing before?" "Yeah, about 6 months ago, he said had a breakfast out there in the barn and grabbed a gun off the wall and told my son here, but I'll call him George. I don't want to say the guy's real name." And so he said, me and George, we'd go out to the barn and he said, opened up the side and heard the cows moon. He said, I looked up and he said, I saw this thing man right across in front of me. Big black hairy thing. And he said, ran out the back of the barn door. He said, I put my gun up. He said, it was too fast. I mean, he said, it ran fast. Well, I knew what he was talking about because I saw the thing, man. I goes, okay. He goes, when you boys finish shooting your breakfast, we'll go on top of the hill and we'll see if we can see any tracks. Okay, so you got to get your stuff anyhow. Went up on top of the hill with him, walked over to the tent. He looked at you, right there's one right there. And I looked, that was the first time I ever seen a Bigfoot track. About like, I'd say about 15 inches long. But it didn't have the typical 5 toes on the end of it. It had 3 toes.
Really?
And you could see just a little indentation past the toes. I would say like claw marks. You know, I'm guessing anyhow. Anyhow, well, they seen another one, and they were going across that right where it ran. So he said, Dave, you seen it run, lead the way. So I'm following the trap. I counted about 12 of them. And then right where there should be 20 more, there was none. They just stopped. I said, where'd the rest of the trap go? He goes, what do you mean? He got the 700-pound creature. Surely we can find traps around here somewhere. He says, span out. So we spanned out. We looked all the way around. Nothing. And the nearest tree was like 30 yards away. It didn't jump on the tree. But we walked over and looked at it. It was clean as a whistle. So that was the first, my first encounter.
Hit somebody.
Oh my God.
So tell us about your book, Dave.
Well, like I said, that was my first encounter, and I had a few other ones, but I'm not going to talk about those ones. But for all those years, close to 50, I've always been asked. My friend bent over. He bent over. And I probably didn't tell you that story. He went back to that last track, and he bent over on his knee, and he said he looked at me. And he said, I've hunted these woods all my life, and I've never seen nothing like this. He said, one thing I know, tracks don't lie.
Right.
And I'm like, That's what he said. Tracks don't lie. I've always thought, if tracks don't lie, what were the tracks telling us?
Right? That's a good point.
If Bigfoot didn't step back, if he didn't backtrack, and he didn't go to the side or anywhere up there, where did this thing go? It did. I was there. There wasn't no UFO there, nothing like that for it to go in. But I got to thinking many years, and I kind of believe like the Indians believe. This thing may be, and I said, maybe an interdimensional creature. I don't know. I mean, how else would you explain it?
Right, right. And we don't know.
We don't know. And so this is what spawned me. And I wanted to write a book a long time ago, but I didn't know how to begin it. I thought, how do I begin it? Where do I go? And so, I'm a Christian and I prayed about it. And the Lord said, go to Genesis chapter 6. And that's all he told me. Okay. Go to Genesis chapter 6. And I read about the giants, who in the Hebrew, that word is Nephilim.
Right.
Well, that kind of is a good starting place, because these Sasquatch beings are tall and they're big. They kind of resemble those old giants. They were big and tall and big. So I kind of started right there. I ended up in the book of Enoch, which talked about the giants, the fallen angels, how they come down and married the daughters of man, and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
And then I read a part about where it said that when these giants all died in the flood, that spirits came out of them. And these spirits, they reckon, a lot of researchers believe this, or theologians believe that is where the demonic spirits came from. The same spirit that Jesus had to battle. It's, remember Legion and how he cast the devils out? They got into the pigs and everything like that. Well, and I'm not saying that these things are demons. I'm not saying they're fallen angels, but there is a theory from a lot of different people in several different books that I've been researching on, that say that in the book of Enoch, there's a part about that, and it says that at some particular time long ago, there was a battle in heaven. God cast out the devil and his angels. On the way to sending them to their eternal punishment, he spares the fairies, which were the angels that were loyal to Lucifer. He spares these beings and puts them upon earth, which is where they were born at. I mean, they once ruled from. He put them on earth because they're terrestrial spirits. Now, some of them fell upon regular, land. They became ghosts, evil spirits, whatever. Some fell into the woods. They became wild men and possibly Bigfoot. Some fell into the water, and they became water spirits. Well, today it's kind of funny because we have sea creatures, and they're coming up with creatures in the ocean and stuff, how big and terrible looking they are, and how they bit some sharks in half.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is, there is reason to believe it would explain, if true, that would explain some of this paranormal type phenomenon associated with the creature.
Sure.
So it is a viable theory. I'm not saying it's 100% true, because I don't care who you are, with how many doctorate degrees behind your name. You don't know exactly where they come, and we don't know what they are. But that only leads us to what? Theorize. We can guess.
Well, I often say that the world is really big and we're really small. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So anything is possible, especially if you play the supernatural card. Anything's possible. Now, if you try to say that these are real flesh and blood creatures that live continually upon the earth, then you have a problem. And that problem is no one's ever brought one in to look at, to examine or whatever.
So tell us a little bit about your organization.
Yeah, this is, I'm associated with OCR, which is Ohio Cryptids Research. Yeah, Ohio Cryptid Research, OCR. And they also have what they call Exposing the Strange, which that's another site on YouTube. So OCR and Exposing the Strange, they document my co-authors' experiences with these beings. Richard McCann, that's just his name. He spent 5 years alone in the Wayne National Forest. And we're talking 12 to 15 miles from here. He did that only in the wintertime because he's a musician. And so he gets away, and it gives him some alone time.
Sure.
He can concentrate on his music. and he has some gigs that he plays here and there, and so he likes to, just kind of get alone and figure things out in his head. He thought buying a cabin in this campground was the perfect place to do it. And so his wife was on the board of directors, and so they said, "Hey, if you want to come out here in the wintertime, and we don't allow no campers here in the winter. No one's going to be here. But if you want to come out, at your own risk and hang out your cabin, we don't have no problem with that." So he agreed to that. So for 5 years, from 2016 to 2021, he spent the winters alone out there. And the things that he's seen and the stories that he has told are off the chart, as far as scary. But there's one thing he has that other researchers don't have. He got documentation. He got some videos. He got pictures. And those pictures and videos, well, the pictures obviously are going to be in the book right here.
Awesome. So again, this book is called Supernatural Cryptids: Return of the Nephilim. Get that Amazon and
Barnes and Noble, Walmart website, practically anywhere you'll be able to find. It's not out just yet, but we're looking at it by the end of August or the middle of September.
fantastic. Dave, we appreciate you coming on the show.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.